That was not it. What's going on?
That was the God of Knicks
Sorry about
Yo,
that, guys.
intro.
that was the Guard Up Knicks podcast.
Intro.
We're just gonna do this intro anyway.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling.
Yeah, you want to kill
What
some
up,
more time? Play the
everybody?
Die Hard Knicks intro.
Die Hard Knicks. Yo, Apollo straight up did that. Apollo was like, yo, we're hooked up to everybody else's Twitter, everybody else's YouTube. I'm going to self-promote right quick. And he changed everything while I was grabbing my fried chicken. That's what he
Listen,
did,
my bad,
all
my
right?
bad. That was from the show last night. I didn't change it over. My bad. Apologize.
Nah, you good, man. Anyway, what up, everybody? It's your boy Phil Porto, aka Phil All Caps, and I'm here with my guys, Mr. Diehard Eru and Mr. Apollo Reed, and we're here to talk Knicks and whiskey tonight. Guys, you know it's crazy because since we don't do this like every single like 2 or 3 days, it seems like by the time we talk, there's been an emotional roller coaster for us. Like we've had some highs and then we've had some freaking punch you in the mouth lows. So for me, it's been hard, bro. Like it's just been celebrating, thinking, yo, this is it. And then having moments where I feel like my house is a funeral and my boys are walking on eggshells because they don't know how to talk to me because they haven't experienced the years of pain that I have. So they don't understand why I'm so emotional. How you guys been? How you guys feeling?
Stress, bro.
Yeah, fed up to tell you the truth. Stressed and fed up.
It's been like you said, emotional roller coaster, bro. I can't even watch any Knicks content. It's hard to like I told you I had to do a show yesterday. Like that was the worst feeling in the world to sit there and do a show.
You know, the worst feeling in the world for me, like you said, to listen to other people's content, people trying to make sense of what they're looking at. And
Right.
like sometimes the takes, you know, the people are coming up with all these different things. You know, like we literally been going through the same thing since game 1 of the regular season.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you know, you got to give them guys time. You know, there's a new team, give them time to gel, and all this other stuff. You know, we gave them over 82 games, and we still got the same issues that we had way back when.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy. I'm gonna be honest with all you guys that are watching. I was very unprepared for this show. I kind of
Good night.
Damn. Hold on. He said I kinda.
He did say I kind of.
He was unprepared, and then I kinda.
sorry.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there you go. You said you were
Yeah.
unprepared, and then I kinda.
Yeah.
Then you did.
I honestly didn't want to do tonight's show. Like I didn't. Like I was so thankful first that I don't have to do post-game shows. Like if I was a post-game show kind of guy, I probably would have like lost so many followers last night. And that's okay. But that's how I felt. And even today I was hanging out with my boys. We were about an hour and a half away from, you know, where we're staying. And I was just like, yo, I don't even care to get home right now and do this. But you know, me and my guys we're going to be loyal to those that watch the show. We're going to come through, and also Bardstown Whiskey supported this episode and sent some dope bourbon. So we're going to do the show regardless of how we feel about the Knicks, even to the point that I'm going to be so kick my feet up on this episode. I got a straight plate of chicken. I'm going to be eating chicken all episode because I didn't get enough time to eat before I got here. So y'all are going to watch me eat chicken, drink bourbon, and talk some nasty talk about what we saw last night. But before we go into that crazy rabbit trail, I want to give a shout out to those that are in the chat right now. Walter Blackham, Blackman, salute to you. Stanley Nowak, appreciate you. Julian Bloom, as always, appreciate you. I've learned to separate the super fan to just looking at its entertainment nowadays. My heart ain't as strong as it's been for 35 years. I feel you, bro. Shout out to my guy, Lee Escobedo. And this is one thing I want to say. If you're on Knicks Twitter and you have to go back and forth and start assassinating people's characters because you don't agree with their take, like, do yourself a favor, grow the frick up. Like, delete your account. Do us all a favor. We don't need
Or
that.
just block them like I did Lee Escobedo. Just block him.
Lee's my guy. We completely disagree on a lot of things I'm going to talk about tonight, but that's my guy regardless. We can debate. We can have fun. We can talk Knicks. We don't have to see things exactly the same, but that's still my guy. Shout out to my guy, Nostalgic Nick. Shout out to Lex in the building. He said, you're it. Knicks all day, do or die tomorrow. We got no choice. We either win tomorrow or we hanging out in Cancun with LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Jason Tatum, all limped up. Like, bottom line, that's where we're going. So,
yeah, do or die. We got to get a. Listen, man, it'll say a lot. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. The feeling that I'm getting is like we stay. I don't like speaking on it, but say we lose the series. I would rather not lose in 5. Like, let's take care of home. Just get one at the home, at the house. Like, just take care of the crib. And whatever happens after that happens, you know what I mean? Because I just feel like to lose at home tomorrow, the way we are already feeling, it'll really shatter a lot of Knicks fans, just to make them feel terrible. Like, it'll just make everyone feel terrible, especially with the way we got here. So,
yeah.
Well, check it.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the Knicks they've been losing on at home, so expecting like a automatic win or anything like that, is tough because we just have not been playing well at home. Just to chime in too, man. I went to one of the watch parties. I was at MSG for the watch party, whatever. So everybody that I literally interacted with, we all had the same sentiment. It's just like we don't know what the Knicks are gonna do. We know they're out there. They know they're gonna play hard and stuff. But right, even from the first couple of plays, and when Indiana went on a little run and stuff, everybody that was sitting with me in the area, we all were just leaning back like, look at this, what are they doing? Like from the jump. But this is like the same thing that's been happening every single game. So, it's like a train wreck we've been watching for the entire season.
Yeah. Shout out to my guy, Jake Asman. He made a post today that I really appreciated. And he was saying, you know what, Nick, if you're going to lose the series, do us all a favor. Don't lose it in MSG again. Like, don't continue to do that to us. Like, do not lose at home. And that's how I feel too. You can't have the most expensive playoff ticket that's out there and continue to lose. Like, that is so disgraceful to the fans that like spend thousands to be there. Like, I looked at a ticket because my wife was like, yo, why don't you look into it? I looked at game 2, and it was $895 for the highest seats that you can find at MSG. And then section 200 starting at like 1,400. Like, yo, that's insane. Like, and you're going to lose, So my whole thing is, do not lose at Madison Square Garden. Like, can a miracle happen and we come back and be that 14th team to, come back from 3-1? Maybe. Am I counting all my chickens in one basket? No. But don't do that to the fans. Don't lose in the Garden tomorrow night. Shout out to those that are showing up right now. My guy, Nostalgic Nick in the building, Nick Yak in the building. Appreciate you guys so much. If you guys can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you can, please retweet this episode so that we can get more people in the building tonight. But guys, since last time, I think the last time we talked, we hadn't even gotten our first victory against the Pacers, correct?
Yeah, I think it was after game 1.
Yeah, it was after game 1. So, for us, it's been an emotional, few days. How did you guys feel after that victory? Let's talk that. Before we talk negative, let's talk positive. What were your thoughts after that victory and the takeaways from that game? I'll go with you first, Apollo.
I tell you, I wasn't hyped. I wasn't like jumping up and down like, yo, we're back in this. Like, I did feel like we had a chance to still make a series out of this. But there was just the simple fact that Brunson was in foul trouble was, I think that was the only reason why we ended up in that situation. And I don't think Tibbs would have played it any different if he definitely would have played it different. I mean, if Brunson didn't get in foul trouble, and I don't think we win that game if he keeps that lineup out there. I think you needed to have Cat out there, and so I was more like, okay, Tibbs, you adjusted in game for once. The only thing I consistently been saying about Tibbs is I want to see some more in game adjustments, and he made a great in game adjustment, and I was like, okay, cool, great. Let's see you do it again. So that's where I'll stop there.
Eru, what are your thoughts?
It's like watching a horror film. I for some people they actually enjoy horror films. So you're sitting and waiting for the jump scares and stuff. So that's what it was. It was like jump scares and you're waiting for like the plot twist at the end. And that's exactly what these Knicks games have been. So watching the game, like my sister's getting sick of me because I keep dragging her outside. This is me and her. Apollo met my sister. My sister's kind of like a little bit of a nut. You know what I'm saying? So I got her out there and she's going crazy. She's emotional and she's getting upset and whatever. So it's like, this is how it's been. So I mean that win, after that win, it felt so good. But what made it feel so good is the just being around other Knicks fans. I've been saying that all year. Just being around other Knicks fans has made it great. So I'm trying to think who did I go with? No, I actually went with my family. I actually went with my two boys and my wife. So they were able to see the win and stuff. So that felt fantastic for the guys to for everyone to see that and to share with my wife too, because she's a Knicks fan, but she just can't watch games with me because I just get so crazy. That's why I do these podcasts, because I just can't do it. But anyway, just being around my family and other Knicks fans, everybody's high-fiving each other and that type of thing, and then walking out the garden, Knicks, I posted a video. I was yelling Knicks in 6 and stuff. I had a hoodie that said, see you in paradise, with the Knicks logo and stuff. Then everybody mosh pitting outside. That's what it's all about, to tell you the truth. The camaraderie, the family that the Knicks fans bring to every win and loss, whatever. Even when we lose, everybody's out there mosh pitting. So hey, I just that's what I'm getting from all the stuff.
Yeah. And it was crazy because for me, I saw some people that were like looking at the Minnesota game and how they came back and beat the Oklahoma City Thunder by like 30 something or 40 something or whatever, and everyone was like, oh, we need that kind of win. And I was like, no, I actually liked the win that we got, because it reminded me of 90s basketball, where it wasn't like, oh, you only won because the other team didn't completely show up. It was actually a gritty game. And I walked away going, holy crap. I saw it a little bit different than you did, Eru, because I know Brunson was in foul trouble, but a lot of times I felt like Tibbs would still go back to Brunson in those moments, regardless of Brunson's foul trouble, and kind of Russian roulette it just so he had his favorite guys out on the court. I actually tipped my hat off to Tibbs and how he coached that quarter. And, the fact that you saw more minutes from the defensive guys that made a difference. Like, I looked at that game and I was like, yo, DeLon Wright's getting minutes and he's playing solid minutes and he's doing a good job. Miles McBride.
Not to cut you off with that, the DeLon Wright thing. Like I said, I'm in a crowd of Knicks fans, and there was people like turning around like, yo, who the F is this guy? Who's number 0? Yeah. So we had like having discussions in the middle of the game, like, yo, this guy, yeah, we traded him for this, that, we had that. It's like a mini podcast in the game, because people legit did not know who the hell that was, because they never seen him play a minute as a Knick. But
that's why I was actually like surprised by Tibbs. I was like, yo, he's playing the guys that should be out there. He's letting them cook. He's letting McBride cook because he's doing better than Brunson would have done. He's not playing Cam, who I wasn't impressed with Cam minutes. So I was like, dang, I'm impressed with how Tibbs coached that quarter. And what did you hear? You heard Halliburton. You heard Carlisle. You heard all those guys talk about their defensive unit that they put in were elite, and we couldn't do anything. And I was like, yo, holy crap. Like, Tibbs coaching like this could change the trajectory of what these Knicks do in this series. And I was just like a Tibb fanaholic that night. I was pumped. I was surprised. And that's where the next game came in, and my heart went back to being shattered. Okay? So we're going to talk about this last game because that whole Tib Fanaholic thing kind of faded and it kind of changed for me and it broke me. But before we do that, we got 2 bourbons tonight. Why? Because we needed after that last game. No, I'm just kidding. We only got like an ounce that we're each doing of this. But I want to play a video real quick before I do this because it's hilarious. You guys have been watching since mid.
Oh,
While Phil is in the Matrix, I just banned Knickknack. All right.
Hold on. What the heck happened?
No, he started with some comment about, he was commenting on what I was saying, so I just clicked the ban button. So you guys can bring him back if you want.
Sorry. Anyway, so
I don't even know how to do that.
Since we started this show, I've been waiting for Mr. Eru to send back his bottles so that he could be part of these whiskey tastings with me and Apollo. So I want to share this video with you guys because it seriously had me cracking up the other day. So we are going to share this video real quick, and hopefully it'll brighten all of your guys' day the way that it brightened mine. Here we go. Can y'all see that?
Nope.
No, it's not up there yet.
It's not up there, man.
You gotta put it on stage.
Oh, okay. Let's see. How do I do that? Where do I do that?
Hold on. Let me see. I think I can do it. Let me see. Hold on.
Oh, maybe it's got to be right here. There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. I'm gonna just do it full screen for
There
you.
You go. Yep.
There we go.
Damn, man, I shouldn't have forgot about them damn bottles, bro. I'm gonna do it now because I'm in the car trying to hide from work. It's about almost 4:30. The post office closes at 5, so I'm trying to get that done right now, man. Hey, Phil, fun fact about those bottles is that I have it in my trunk forever. But the funny shit, which is not really funny, is that, wait, let me get this, make sure I got a pen on me. Yeah, the fun fact about this post office is that I literally park right next to a post office every day. Every day I forget to send these damn things, bro. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. And here goes my car, and there goes the post office. My bad, Phil. It's in the box. Yeah, so I'm out. Got me some tape. They make you buy tape. Got the receipt and stuff. So I hit you with the numbers and all that. Post office right across the street from where I work at, right by where my car is over there. Unbelievable, bro. Once again, my bad.
There you have it, friends. All right. Eru takes less steps to take a poop every single day at work.
That's not even a lie. That's not even a lie.
Go to drop those off to me, and it took him about 5 months to get those shipped out. So I don't feel bad, when me and Apollo are enjoying these things, and he's just like, man, that sounds good. I don't feel bad. So today we got 2 that he does not get to partake in. And you know what's unfortunate? I got the package today. So I'm not even filling them tonight because I'm waiting to see what happens tomorrow, because he might have waited all season and doesn't get anything because of possible outcome for tomorrow night. But it is what it is. So
how about, like, no matter what happens next week, we should still have a finale, and maybe he'll have one or two to taste with us. You know what I mean? That night.
So we do have a really awesome whiskey distillery called Nelson Brothers Greenbrier, and they are actually going to ship us some samples of their Black Briar, which is absolutely delicious. And the guy who's actually in charge of like their whiskey stuff and their restaurant there, he's actually going to join us because he's an NBA head. So he's going to come on next week and either talk about the series or talk about the Knicks in general, since he's a huge NBA head. So he's going to join us next week. His name's Mike. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about this brand right here. This is called Bardstown. And they are a huge, huge name in the whiskey industry. And they used to actually get their whiskey from other places, and now they're one of the biggest brands that create whiskey for other distilleries. And this is one of the few that became their first staple on the shelf whiskey that they fully created. So this one right here, we're going to start with the chiller one at first. This is their Origin series. There's 3 in their Origin series. This is their Kentucky Straight Bourbon. It's real chill, 96 proof, so it's not something too heated that you can't share with people that aren't full-on whiskey drinkers. It's aged about...
Yep.
Matrix. 10, 9. By the way, just wanted to let you know, Eru, you're missing out because I had... Oh, here you go.
keep getting kicked off. This is insane. I'm going to have to like directly connect after we, do these samples. But real quick, this is them right here. All right. So it's their Origin series right there. All right. So as you can see, it's 96% proof. It's 60% corn, 36% rye, 4% malted barley, about 6 years. So 96 proof, you can definitely share it with a whiskey drinker or a non-whiskey drinker. But this one's really good. So we're going to do this a little bit different because I know there's sometimes that Apollo's wondering if I led the witness. And we don't want any like Diddy's going free because, of a free, like witness that led somebody or anything like that. So we're going to let Apollo go and grab a little sniff and then a little taste and tell me if he can notice any tasting notes himself before I share mine. So go for it, Apollo. Let's see what you think while I pour mine.
Oh my gosh. You put me on a spot. Okay. So what are we doing right now? We're doing the Origin?
Yep. And to answer Lee's question, it's a good one. He says, Phil, do you select bottles based on branding? I know you're a designer and an artist and wondered how much the branding influences your purchase. So no, unfortunately, there's some brands that have great labels and trash whiskey. And then vice versa. Some that have incredible whiskey, but it's like they don't know what a graphic designer is. So for me, I have to taste it and like it if I'm going to share it. I tell brands straight up that if I don't like it and they still want me to share my whiskey notes, I have to be 100% like honest. And they might not like what I have to say. And so a lot of them will be like, no, if you don't like it, please don't share it. So I won't share it if I don't like it. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I don't know what to choose. From the sniff, like just from the sniff taste, what the hell is that? When I sniffed it before I tasted it, I got kind of like a caramel or vanilla kind of scent, but when I tasted it, I didn't really taste it that much.
Okay,
but I know it's there. Like I kind of taste it because I smelled it before, but that's the only thing that I can really pick out. That's the only thing.
Okay, and what about the taste? Get any notes out of there?
Not really, because I don't know what notes to apply to said taste.
I'm putting you on the spot, and this is fun, but but it's also understandable as you're trying to figure out. But even that, you wouldn't have been able to point out caramel or vanilla, previously. So the fact that you're getting those on the nose is huge. You're starting to smell things that you hadn't smelt before in the whiskey. Because I remember the first few, you were like, it just smells like alcohol. And I was like, all right, well, what does that even mean? So I appreciate that because yes, there are caramel and vanilla on it. There's also like the smell of like fruit and also some of that oak. It's a little bit floral as well. But on the tasting notes, the tasting notes are delicious. And you can even, tasting notes don't always have to be just like flavors, but how it feels as well. So I'm going in for another sample as well. So
Yeah, how does it hit the tongue first? Like when the first initial bite, what does that feel like?
So it's creamy, very, very creamy. Like some taste very like thin and watery. This coats your tongue and your mouth like in completion. Like it's very creamy, very buttery. So like think of like something like not like a stick of butter, but think of something that you eat that has like a ton of butter on it, whether it's like a steak or whether it's like a, bagel in the city. That butter like seriously leaks out and kind of just takes over, and it's just like delicious off the bat. So that's what I get immediately. And then there's that hint of spice. It kicks you with a little bit of spice, but it doesn't like knock you out. It's just like a hint of that spice. And then this is where the flavors kind of come in for me, because I tasted it multiple times because I kept tasting fruit, but I couldn't figure out what fruit it was. So I kept taking sips. And then I started to I was like, okay, it doesn't taste like a berry. It doesn't taste like an apple, like the other ones we've had before. It tastes like a different kind of fruit, not like a dark fruit. And then I realized it was like a stone fruit. So it was like something in the stone fruit category. So I kept trying it. And then it was more like, okay, this has a peach taste to it. So if you like taste it, I taste like peach pie or like those crazy little circle peach rings that me and my wife are completely obsessed with when we go to a movie and eat the whole bag before like the previews are done. Like that's what I instantly get. So that kind of fruit or something similar like an apricot or something like that. So those are the initial flavors that I get. So give another sip and see if you can taste any of that.
It's after you said apricot, like maybe not what you say before apricot? What was it? Peach. Maybe not peach, but definitely I can see the apricot.
Yeah, I can sense the apricot, with the whiskey kind of feel, the apricot, you would get the essence.
Yeah.
So
I'm
like
glad
the
you
finish.
got that on your palate.
No, just I have a good imagination. I've been married for a while, so imagination is a big part of that, so.
The finish is great.
Yo, you really messed me up there.
My podcast is sponsored by Astroglide, just letting you know.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, we're gonna keep on moving. So the finish doesn't disappear, which I like. The finish is really, really good. It's lasting, gives you a little more of that rye spice, and a little bit of that oak. So I love this one. This is the kind of bottle that you keep on your shelf anytime friends come over. Like, it's not an expensive bottle. $45, good quality whiskey from one of the best distilleries out there, so you know that it's quality. So cheers to those in the chat. We're going to get back to Knicks talk for those that aren't whiskey heads.
How's the finish? How's the finish of the whiskey? How, like, the aftertaste? How's like the finish?
It's good, man. It lasts, and then it just hits you with a little bit of that rye spice and a little bit of that oak. So it goes like this. It hits you like this, then goes like this in the flavors, and then slowly comes on down, which is great because some will like hit that peak and then fall off. This doesn't have a fall off. This kind of just slowly, kind of like when you're mixing an audio and you want to make sure that like it comes to a complete stop without it being abrupt and like weird and off-putting. That's how that is.
How's it with the chicken? Because you're eating food, so how does that affect the food experience?
Honestly, I didn't take any bites of chicken while I was drinking the whiskey because I didn't want to ruin that. So I like my chicken fried, and air fried with a lot of like salt and onion pepper and like garlic salt. I don't want to mix that. So it's good chicken though.
Sometimes like when you my bad, Apollo.
No. Okay. Finish your thought.
Well, sometimes like when you're drinking whatever, like I told the story like the young lady that we were supposed to do the that party with whatever, she just asked me what mood I was in, and she just gave me a shot, and she said, listen, it will go good what you're eating right there. So with the little drink that she made me, it was a drink that she made me. When she made me the drink, it just made my whole experience, and whatever I told her, she legit just painted the picture for me, man. And I almost risked it all that night,
Oh,
over a
oh,
drink and some
hey, hey,
veggie burgers.
relax.
Whoa.
Take it easy. Listen, Knicks and 7. Relax, man. Yo,
Right.
6 and 7.
I was gonna say that initially I was gonna say rye, like, but I didn't know if that's what that taste was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I've never like just tasted rye before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now that you're telling me that that's what that taste is,
Mm.
yeah, I definitely like that's one of the first, like, I guess something that's not like a fruit, but that's the base kind of taste that I actually tasted that wasn't caramel or vanilla, which is what the initial things that I got.
Yeah.
No, I love it, bro. You're killing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and Iru, when having a meal, it's different than a tasting. A tasting, you kind of want to make sure that you don't like spoil the flavor there before you taste it. So giving my tasting notes, if I would have had the salt from the chicken on my tongue too early, I would have thought those tasting notes of the salt would have been from the whiskey. So that's why I stopped drinking a little bit before going in for the tasting notes. But pairings at a dinner are so important, because if you have a whiskey like this that has the sweet and light notes to it, and you pair it with something that's salty, then it pairs well with each other. They're not competing with each other. But if I would have said, oh, there's hint of like saltiness and pretzel and stuff like this in there, and I paired it with the chicken, it would be a disgusting kind of pairing, because it would just be salt and salt and salt. There would have been nothing. Yeah. Each bite would have just been a little bit too much, to drink with it.
Yeah, I got to point out too, like you mentioned the bottles before too, like the actual bottles of this brand is pretty nice. Like the floral backgrounds. They got a tree kind of things. It's been one of the nicer bottles that I've seen since we've been doing this.
Yeah. Bardstown does a killer job. They're incredible. Shout out to Bardstown Bourbon for being part of this episode. We truly appreciate you guys sending this bottle and sending these samples. But we're gonna get back into Knicks talk. I'm gonna actually head outside real quick, and I'm going to grab a plug-in so that I don't lose connection as much. So Apollo, do me a favor and transition to your initial thoughts on this last game.
Ah, man. Josh Hart. I don't want to blame him for everything. The 17 turnovers is not a way to, win a game, especially on the road. But Josh Hart just wasn't himself last night, and Tibbs allowed him to not be himself for a large portion of the game, and he still played 36 minutes. So, I'm one of the biggest Josh Hart fans there is. You know what I'm saying? But when a guy's not on, he's not on. And he was just throwing turnovers here and there. He was missing assignments. You know what I mean? Like, so there were certain things out there that, and I know Julian. I know Julian. I'll get there. I'm reading the chat. But there's certain things that the coach can't do on the court, and missing assignments backdoor like that, and throwing unnecessary turnovers in crucial times, and leading to momentum swing moments, moments and plays. That just doesn't really work. And like I said, at the end of the day, he should not have played 36 minutes. You should have let him sit, whatever work, whatever off was going on in his head. He just wasn't playing well. So you have to, step in and allow him. Deuce McBride played 14 minutes last night. I don't know why he only played 14, and he has like the highest plus minus on the team for this entire series. So, 17 turnovers there. Coach didn't really adjust the way I thought he would after seeing what he did in the last game when we won. So, seriously, I was very, very frustrated. But go ahead, you.
Yeah, Mitch Robinson only played 19 minutes, so that was annoying too, because he has some impactful minutes too. But I feel like all the players, in the last game, they were I feel like maybe they were like going too fast. I feel like a lot of fans mentioned that too. Like the Knicks were just going way too fast. We we were like trying to outfast the fastest team in the NBA, and we were flustered. You know, like we were coming down. We would like you talking about Josh Hart, man. Some of those turnovers were just like bonehead turnovers, like uncharacteristic of him. Like he's prone to like jumping in the air and making stupid passes sometimes, but he would just like really, you know, just like overboard. But you know, he's not the only one. There was some of the other players too were doing it. They also too like the referees for some reason. You know, I don't like talking about the refs, man, but there was some outrageous calls, especially this one that's going viral with when OG was going to the basket and he got clocked from behind from Siakam right across his head, like a blatant foul, and they didn't call it, you know. So
and I'm yelling like that's not a foul, like I lost my mind.
I'm telling you, like sitting, like ain't nothing like sitting with a bunch of Knicks fans, you know. So like while you're carrying on, everybody else is the same way. Everybody feels the same way. And when something happens, a guy, you know, you look to your left, and the guy to your left is looking at you like, "Did you see that?" Like, yo, like, you know. So it's frustrating, man. But you know, we get what we deserve. You know, we you know, Tom Thibodeau, you know, prides himself on being prepared for these games and stuff. But you know, we haven't been prepared. You know, and you know, him going deep into his bench was a good thing. But you know, for as people said that he outcoached the you know the team the last game. You know, what about this game? You know, this game, you know, what did he do here? You know, in my opinion, Tom Thibodeau has just been doing the same thing this whole time. He might get the upper hand sometimes, but you know, so far, like, you know, we just been winning off the sheer like energy of our guys, that our experience and our talent, you know, that, you know, playing hard and stuff. That's how we've been winning. You know, so yeah, anyway, It's just frustrating. I agree with you, you know.
Before I give any takes, I'm gonna give a shout out to my guy Julian Bloom. He said my pops, who is 73 years old, called me up during game 2 in the third quarter. Said with a sad face he was nervous because he didn't want the Knicks to lose. I don't think the Knicks understand how much we bleed orange and blue, and I agree. I don't think people understand the severity of how long we've been fans. I don't think people understand how loyal we've been. You know, like I've met so many people that I talk to them. I'm like, yo, who you a fan of? And they're like, oh, well, growing up, I watched so-and-so, and then I moved and I, you know, took on their team as my team, or, you know, we kept losing and I no longer live there, so I didn't have a loyalty or connection to them, so I moved. But Knicks fans don't do that. We're all over the country. We're all over the world. We still bleed orange and blue. We still support this team. So for me, you know, that last game was a little bit frustrating. First, but before I go into my take, I want to give a shout out, okay, to Pat McAfee for doing anything he can to stay relevant. Like, you are no longer in the NFL. Your TV show sucks. Your sports analysis is absolutely garbage. But yet you're going to do anything you possibly can, including criticize amazing A-list celebrities who actually travel for the loyalty of their team to your little town of Indianapolis to support the Knicks. And you're going to utilize that opportunity to talk trash to Ben Stiller, to Spike Lee, and Timothy, and act like you are better than them, when outside of Indiana and a lot of arrogant sports communities, people have no clue who you are or just don't care. So shout out to you for doing everything you possibly can. I'm going to play this video right here because I think that this is what struck a nerve in his little heart. So shout out to Jimmy Kimmel for this. Let me bring that up. I forgot to bring it back up. Add to stage. Boom. And we are going to share this tab instead. Shout out to Jimmy.
Yeah, tomorrow night the Knicks face off against the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's going to be... Yeah, it's going to be such an intense matchup between New York and Indiana. Check out this promo I saw today.
It's Knicks versus Pacers on TNT. The series tips off in New York City. And sitting courtside, you'll see all the stars of NYC, like Spike Lee, Timothy Chalamet, Ben Stiller, Lenny Kravitz, and Bad Bunny. Then the series shifts to Indiana, and you'll see all the stars of Indianapolis, like Mike Pence, his brother Greg Pence, Karen Pence, local meteorologist Chuck Lofton, a spare tire from the Indy 500, and the woman giving everyone a little Indiana fever, County Treasurer Barbara Lawrence. Don't miss the action.
Looks really good. I can't wait.
So
I
shout out
didn't
to
even
Jimmy.
know who Pat McAfee was until you said it. I literally had to Google to see what he looked like.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Because is I was thinking I was trying to figure it out, but it's it's McAfee, really, right?
Yeah, McAfee. Pat
McAfee.
McAfee.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee. Yeah, my bad.
To add to that, like most of the Nick fans, we're just like how we are. Like Ben Stiller and all these guys, they have the same energy we have. You got like the rabble rousers, the guys in the crowds that are just trying to get viral moments. But when you look at the major fans from other towns, like the Barstool guy from Boston, what a
Yeah.
piece of shit he is. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Then Pat McAfee is basically the same kind of guy. But every other fan for every other team out there, they're all a bunch of dicks. Like real Knicks fans are, they're not like that. Ben Stiller and all these guys, they all got the same energy. It's
And
just the
the
way that it
crazy
is.
thing is like Ben Stiller, as soon as Jason Tatum went down, what did Stiller do? He used his platform to talk about how he's, thinking and sending the best well wishes to Jason Tatum, that he wished that he could be part of this series, that he wishes, a healthy recovery for him. It's just different, So the fact that you come up and you like diss celebrities that are first better than you at what they do, but also like better character, it just doesn't make sense to me. So shout out to him for doing everything he can to stay relevant. Bottom line, and here's the thing. A lot of people are like, well, what about all the Knicks that did that to the Pacer fan that was walking? No, the real Knicks fans, we don't claim those guys, okay? We don't claim the ones that are out there screaming F Trae Young still and throwing trash bags at Indiana Pacer fans. Like, we don't claim that.
Did you guys hear about the Knicks fans that got stabbed up in Indiana? They got
Yeah.
stabbed up. Like we threw garbage cans and a guy came through and actually stabbed a Knicks fan over fandom.
Two Knicks
who
fans.
and they told us that we were the animals. You know what I'm saying? But look what they did. And I don't see anybody saying, hey, we want to make sure that we give these guys tickets to the game and stuff like that, because it's not an opportunity to make the Knicks fans look bad. Or to make a Pacers player look, a Pacers fan look good. There's no opportunity for that. So, it is what it is, man.
Shout out to my guy, Prezi. Prezi, you missed the first whiskey that we highlighted today, which was the Bardstown Origin Series. But a little bit later on, we will be talking about the next one. So check out Bardstown Origin Series. It's a great Kentucky straight bourbon. But we're going to move on. So
Big ups.
right here. So follow us. These are our, our Twitters and all that stuff. So do us a favor. Please show love. Please show support. But I'm going to give my take on this last game. The thing that bothered me about this last game is not that we necessarily lost, but the fashion that we lost. Because for me, I look at it and I go, okay, I feel like we struck gold in what we did in game 3. Like, we figured something out. We found the way to stop these guys. And then we go and do the opposite. I don't understand that. That's what frustrates me. That's what made me go, holy crap. I was just on that Tibbs train, and now I feel like that train's got a one-way ticket to burn. Like that is a destructive path to stay on this train. And that's why I was mad. And this is where me and Mr. Lee kind of bumped heads earlier on their episode last night was, I can give Tibbs the credit. This isn't a preconceived hateration towards Tibbs. I said it pre-playoffs that we could win the NBA Finals, and I still believe that we should move on from Tibbs because I believe that this is the end of his era. I'm thankful for what he's done, but I feel like the Knicks need to move on as we move on with this team. I said that before we won or lost a single freaking game in the playoffs. So this isn't an emotional take. This isn't a preconceived I hate Tibbs take. This is a thank you for what you've done, but I think it's time to move on. And that right there, what I saw last night, proved to me that what I believe is true in my opinion. Because I understand it's not just him. The players did some really stupid stuff. There were some stupid Brunson turnovers, a lot of stupid McHale turnovers, Josh Hart turnover. Like, hence why the image for today's episode titled turnovers, because it was on the team as well. But here's the thing. If I see my son walking into the deep end and he starts to drown and I don't do anything to pull him out of that, is it his fault that he drowned or mine? If I have the opportunity to keep him from drowning, whose fault is it that he drowns? Do I keep on watching and say, maybe he'll learn how to swim here? He hasn't been able to swim for the last few, doggy pedals and gulps of water that he's been swallowing, and the last few times that I've seen him duck down in panic. But it's okay. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to see what the water talk. I'm going to let the water talk to me, or let the game talk to me. Like, no. If he drowns, is that my fault or my son's fault? That's mine. That's mine.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was just as much. I'm not saying it's all on Tibbs, but just as much on Tibbs as it was the players. And that was my exact wording last night. It's not an either or. It's a both and. It's a both and. The reason we lost that series was because of poor play, but also because of poor coaching. Tibbs did not do something that was going to lead us to success last night by keeping Josh Hart in there and by doing what he was doing last night. So for me, I completely believe that it was both of them that cost us the game. I do not believe it was just the players. I do not believe it was just Tibbs, but I feel like Tibbs did just as much to cost us that game as the players that did not do what we needed them to do. So that's where I was frustrated. I was thankful that Mikal came alive in the fourth, but you can't continue to just come alive in the fourth. There's 4 freaking quarters of basketball. We need you to show up in all of it. And the freaking players that won us that last game, you had freaking DeLon Wright, who I was like, wait a minute, DeLon's playing? Okay, let's see if this is a mistake. Nope, this was a great choice. Now, all of a sudden, he goes from whatever 15 minutes in that game that he helped us win to now he's getting, 8 minutes? Like, where's that drop-off? Mitchell Robinson not seeing a minute in that third quarter where they took a huge leap and came back and started kicking us in the teeth. Where was Mitchell Robinson? Where was the defensive unit that helped us win that game? That's where my frustration came out. This is why I'm frustrated, because Tibbs had the antidote. He had the winning formula in that game, and then he went back to it. Like, I just don't understand. When you strike gold, why would you choose to go back to poverty? Like, I don't understand that. I do not understand that. Why you would go back to something that doesn't work. I couldn't figure it out. It was frustrating. I didn't like it. I don't know. Like, that's just my frustration there. What you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I would like to know that, but
Totally agree with you, Phil. But it's not an isolated thing. That's the main thing, because I see a lot of people arguing about, like, oh, they're only arguing about what you're saying about Tibbs at the moment because that's what happened in the last game. But this is something that's been going on all year. That's why people have been talking about getting rid of Tibbs this whole time, trading, firing him and all this, But it is what it is. It's definitely frustrating having to deal with this all the time and have to keep debating the same thing all the time. I joke around all the time with that, with the joke, like, if they've been calling you like a crackhead like your whole life, you say, nah, man, I'm not smoking crack, man. You are smoking crack, bro. Like, it's got to be some truth to it. Everybody's saying it, and there's all the symptoms of it. Yeah, some days you might have a good day and everything is good, but then, like, you revert back to your old druggy ways. So you're an addict, bro. You know what I'm saying? If I could add too, a problem has since the beginning of the year. We've been talking about the roster. Like, the team is not fun to watch, and then, like, a lot of the pieces are not mixing properly, and then people always hitting you with the, oh, you got to give it time thing. But now that people are now running with the analytics thing now, saying that the starting 5 don't play well together. You know what I'm saying? So but that's something else that we've been saying all year. We've been saying this stuff all year. Now there's data to prove it. So now people are running with that data because that's what the cool kids on the internet are saying now. So now they have something to go with. But this is something that's been happening all year. Same thing like that you said has been happening all year. And this analytics stuff that's been happening all year. So we have a lot of problems.
Real quick before I throw it to you, Apollo, because you can give your take, but then transition into this question. So So Lee is asking, okay, honest question: what formerly fired coach or first-time coach should the Knicks hire to replace Tibbs? My answer to that is, I don't want to act like I have the answer or that formula. Like, I do not know, to be honest. And my thing is like, so many people are like, well, if you don't know who can replace him, then why are you talking about replacing him? Well, here's the thing. I also don't know why I had lost movement in the right side of my face years ago. When I went to take a picture and I couldn't figure it out, I was like, yo, my face isn't moving. I don't know what's going on. Me not knowing how to fix that solution didn't make me go, well, I don't have the answer, so I guess I'm just going to ignore the elephant in the room. Like, no, I said, someone's got to have the answer because it is a problem that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So I searched until I found the answer, and then I found I had a giant golf ball sized brain tumor in my head. So if the theory is, well, if you don't have the answer, then don't fix it or don't look for the fix, or you don't know that something's better. No, I didn't know that it was going to get better, but I hoped and I searched till I found out a way to get it better. Regardless of how many thousands and thousands upon thousands of dollars it took for me to get it fixed and how many different doctors I had to talk to, I wanted to figure it out. And so the same thing, I see an issue, even if I don't know the answer, I can still see it as a problem and want to fix it.
Yeah, if I can answer to your point too, because I know Apollo had the point, but like everybody knows your story. Like you didn't just have the problem and it fixed it, and now you just like now Phil Portal. Like you've had many setbacks, and you had many different doctors, many different things. So I mean, it's trial and error. You don't know if the doctor that you have is going to be the one to fix it. So you're just everybody knows your story. You went through a lot, man, for a long time, and before you were able to get it right to be who you are now. So. That's life in general, and in a nutshell with the Knicks, that's the coaching situation.
Yeah, and you're right. The first doctor I told that I spoke to when I had the issue, straight up told me, "You're making a bigger deal of it than what it actually is. It's just Bell's palsy. Give it some time, and it'll fade away." And I said, "No, like I don't believe that. Like I think it's a bigger issue. Like we need to do more than just sit on it." And he was like, "Well, you're going to spend all this time and all this money, and then what if you find out that you're wrong and that it is just Bell's palsy?" I was like, "I'd rather find out that I'm wrong than find out I was right the whole time and did nothing about it, and now it's a bigger issue." And then he was like, "But you're going to spend all this time and money." I said, "It's my time and money. Let me do it." And then he's the one that had to call me and go, "Can we have a sit down?
I'm sorry.
You were right. There is a bigger issue there. Like, I see a bigger issue right now. Like as great as Tibbs has been up until this point, Eastern Conference, holy crap, this is the furthest we've been in years. Thank you, Tibbs. I appreciate you. That does not mean that I think that you need to be here next year. I said that before the playoffs started. So this isn't emotional based off of a loss. This isn't emotional based off of like my preconceptions of Tibbs. I was thankful for him. I think we need to move on. Bottom line. Apollo, go for it.
So, I mean, I think it was the first episode after we signed Tibbs that on Guard Knicks podcast years ago. And I liked the fact that we picked up a veteran coach, a guy who had experience, a guy who was a defensive coach, and you know what I'm saying? Like I knew he would whip these guys into shape. He would teach these guys. And I don't know if you guys remember, this is a word that we don't even deal with anymore because it was so bad back then. And it was culture.
Word up, the C word.
And he absolutely came here and changed the culture. And that's just the one thing about Tibbs. I'm not saying that he's terrible and he can't, he's not a good coach anymore. I just think we've seen the best he can do with this team. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain things, and I'm not saying I think there is another guy out there that I've been doing my studying because I don't know who the coaches are. A lot of these times, these guys are doing coaching searches. Like who is it? I forgot what team was it recently. They just said that they're doing their coaching searches, and some guys were finalists. I've never heard of any of these guys. I don't know how to search for a coach. You know what I'm saying? So, I think he just he reached a point where the game has kind of outgrown what he sees is able to happen sometimes. And that doesn't make you a bad coach. You know what I'm saying? Like it just, but I just same thing, like, Kerr was slandered when he first got signed in Golden State. It was his first job. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. But he came in and where did they go the first year? What happened the first year? Did they win a championship or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. Started a dynasty.
Started a dynasty. Not to
like.
say that there is a Steve Kerr out there. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they knew what they were lacking. They knew what pieces they had, and they knew the front office. When I say the front office knew what the pieces needed to be successful. And Mark Jackson came there and he developed a culture. That team is who they are because of Mark Jackson. I don't care what anybody says.
Yep.
He developed a culture for them to follow, and Kerr took it and just added what they were missing at that time. And I think we're getting to the point where if we're already talking about Tom Thibodeau and he might not be here, you don't think these guys in the front office have ever had this conversation?
Yeah.
And
you would hope.
Right. And if they've had this
bulletin board,
right, and if they've had this conversation, you would also think that they've done their due diligence at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we might not know who the hell that coach is. You know what I'm saying? It might be a surprise when it happens. We all might be pissed off like everybody was when Golden State signed Steve Kerr. But what I do know is this team is like really close to being very, very good. And there's certain things that I feel like he's just being outcoached right now. And it just happens to be the same team last year who beat us in 7. And we had an injury-riddled team, and they came back when we weren't injured, and we were 100% healthy, and they're kicking our asses right now.
So real quick, people talking about him in the front office. I think that's a great idea, because I think Tibbs knows and loves basketball. I don't think Tibbs is losing because he doesn't love the game. He does love the game. I just think that the game has changed so much that he's having a hard time figuring it out. Like if you look at that game, every time the camera cuts to him, his mind has not stopped running. He's trying to figure things out. But I think he's hitting blocks. He's hitting roadblocks. And the frustrating thing is like when you reach like what you really, really are looking for and you find it, and then you don't go back to that and try it again because you're doing what you did before that didn't work. That's the hard thing, is like the pieces of his mind that are trying to say, hey, this new thing works, are battling the things that he's so used to and so stuck on that it's a constant battle between the two. And so for me, it's one of those things where it's like, dang it, you show signs and you show hints of what could be, but then you go back to the stubbornness and it costs us the game, and so, and that's not to excuse the players. Like I said, those players need to figure it out. I don't think that the coaching issue is the only issue that we have right now. People are either going player or coach. No, I think it's both,
Yeah.
But in talking about the coaching situation, I would rather see him go while he's done something good for the Knicks, go into the front office, us figure something else out, and let that coach develop with the new trajectory of what this team is. Because that loss last night, I like I said, it's a both and. Both of them cost us the loss there. But let's talk about the other elephants in the room. Okay. Let's talk about the team itself. Okay.
Real quick.
Let's talk. Yeah.
I don't, and it's not an age thing either, because Rick Carlisle's not young. You know what I'm saying? So it's just it's a style. It's literally a coaching style thing.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that, and I credit Tibbs for coming in as a defensive coach and turning in some guys into better offensive players than you would imagine. But when you just give them the ball and tell them to do whatever they want, they can also, they could take 20 shots a game. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But there are sets. I'm not saying he doesn't call any sets at all. That's because that's a bad take if you do say that.
Yeah.
But I just think that there is a lot more, for me, a lot less off-ball movement than to be desired. And there's a lot of standing and watching. And that's not, to me, something that guys decide to do if they're being told to run a play.
Yeah.
Like if there's a play to run, you're not standing there.
Right.
Tibbs will be cursing you out if you would be. You know what I mean? So there's clearly not a play if these guys are standing there watching him. So
And
I
here's
just
the
don't like
thing.
the frequency of that.
So to answer Prezzi's question, he says, is it stubbornness or going back to what got you here, or a combination of both? It's both.
It's
So
both.
we all grew up in a different era. Okay. Like if you're in your like late 30s, early 40s, like I remember for me, it was completely normal for me to mouth off and mom take off a chancleta wherever she was and like whack me with it. It was no big deal, Now it's starting to come out more and more how there's some unhealthiness in what can form in a child who's constantly hit that way, and we have all this information now that we didn't have and that our parents didn't have, so you see that fine line of, okay, I can parent the way that I'm accustomed to, or I can parent in a way that's healthy for the future of my child. Like there's that balance that we have to, and at times we'll go, oh my gosh, I want to spank you right now, like because it's our instant reaction, like because that's how we were raised. Like if I could just put a belt to you right now. But then I go, okay, no, first of all, I don't feel like that did me any well. So I need to remember that. I also have to feel like where I'm at in my life as a guy who tries to follow, God's will instead of my own. Like, I don't feel like that's the heart that he wants me to have for my kids. So there's that wrestle, but I have to make that choice to not go back to my stubborn ways. That's a choice that I have to make. Like the easy thing is to slip back into what I know or what I grew up on or what was familiar to me. But I have to make that choice. And I don't feel like Tibbs is always willing to make that choice because he's still so ingrained in that being the right way to do things. Like imagine trying to tell, my grandfather, if he was still around, Grandpa, you're not allowed to spank anymore. My grandfather would freak out. Like his Cuban, stubborn, like arrogant male, I'm a man, no one tells me anything persona would freak out if I told him nowadays that he can't spank. Like he would wrestle with the idea even like day and night. And I feel like that's Tibbs. I feel like it's a constant battle. It's a constant wrestle.
Yeah, imagine the same elder, telling them that your auntie's best friend is, is not just her best friend. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody's a little bit more. Somebody in that era is not going to accept it. They're gonna react a certain way. But parenting and coaching is basically the same thing. You have to, you parent to help them get through the times that we're in. When we were younger, an ass whooping might have saved your life. Nowadays, the way things are with social media and then just the influence with the teachers and everyone else around, like if you spank your kid, that might lead them into the bout of depression and all this other stuff that goes along with that. You have to adapt your parenting style for the times that you're in. So same thing with Tom Thibodeau. He might have some good core values in his coaching and stuff, but throughout the years, you need to pick up new habits and realize what's happening out there. And right now the 3-point shot, we playing that drop coverage. We always talk about it every freaking game. The Knicks seem like they're afraid to break that plane of the 3-point line. They just come to the front of the 3-point line, and Indiana just says, all right, well, and they just, Boston did it to us, the Detroit did it to us. So little things like that, like you need to evolve your teaching style, your coaching style for the time, and Tom Thibodeau is struggling with that.
And that's the frustrating part is I've said it all season, like when we were struggling with defense. We have a coach that's called the defensive mastermind. Why are we struggling on defense? That last game, not this one before, but the one that we won, I was like, okay, there we go. There's the defensive mastermind. Defense won the game. He's practicing what he preaches all the time, is that defense wins games. But then he doesn't do that after we win the game and we lose another game. Like, that's the frustrating part where it's like you struck gold. You struck gold. And then you just left that hole that you just dug and started digging in another hole. Like, I just don't understand the way that he thinks about things. You know, it just doesn't make sense. There's a proverb that says, it's Proverb 26:11, as a dog returns to his vomit, so a fool returns to his folly. Like a dog who comes back to his vomit, that's like a fool who comes back to his foolish ways. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you see what it is and you come back to it. What we did yesterday, we've done before and we've lost. What we did in game 3 got us the victory and we didn't do it again. That doesn't make sense to me. It does not make sense to me at all. And one last thing that I'll say is we always used to talk about, well, you got to be one of Tibbs's guys to get minutes. Brunson and Cat are complete liabilities on defense. And that's what we've revolved our team around. So do not preach this, you have to be a Tibbs guy narrative to me to see these guys get minutes. You saw what happened in 2 of the 4 games that we've lost. You know who has been a contributing factor to putting the nail in our coffin? Obi Toppin. The guy that some Knicks fans said would never get actual quality minutes on any other NBA team. And now it's not Tom Thibodeau, it's Obi Toppin, and he will never get quality minutes. Well, here we are 2 years later. 2 games, he got quality minutes to put the coffin, like nail in the coffin of our New York Knicks.
He's been a force too, big time.
He's about to be up 2-0 on Tibbs if they lose this series. And that's...
Yeah, and like you said, he's been a contributing factor. He rebounded well, playing defense and flying up the court, man. You know, filling those lanes and stuff. Incredible.
Yeah.
You know, but we were talking about like replacements for Tom Thibodeau. But you know, once upon a time, Tom Thibodeau was some jackass from Connecticut that somebody gave a shot to that nobody knew who the hell he was. Yeah. Same thing with Van Gundy and Van Gundy's brother Stan that hates the Knicks, but he's on every telecast. You know, these guys were nobodies at one. You know, they were like Division III rejects. You know, and then now these are some of like the greatest coaching minds that you can ever think of. You know, even Popovich once upon a time was just some jackass that was on the bench that somebody gave a shot to. So you know, like maybe our next coach could be the Sake Yoshimoto. You know, the guy that's been our sitting in the background this whole time. Maybe he might be the next coach, and he might be the next great coach for the Knicks. We just don't really know. You know, you kind of need to be lucky, but you have to trust the team's due diligence, like we were saying. You know, their research and whatever they are seeing behind the scenes, and just trust that process. You know, that they would find the right person and that they would get the job done.
Yeah, you know, Prezi said time to pay Johnny Bryant $20 million a year to leave Cleveland. We will name the street after you. Come on back. Here's the thing: Knicks need to like have a centering of like their expectations of who they are. You know, this is the first time that we've been to the Eastern Conference in how long? I think sometimes we think just because we're New York that like people want to be here or need to be here or that we are this great entity. Like, I look at all the people that are like, yo, we're going to get Dante back in the offseason. That was just a 1-year thing. Watch us get us. Why would Dante come back? Like, when I'm looking at his success in Minnesota, them believing in him playing every crucial minute in the fourth quarter of this series currently, like they have bought into him and have showed him that they value him. Like, what makes us think that Dante just wants to pack his bags and come back and be a 6th man for the Knicks? Like, what makes us think that we're really that, you know? Johnny Bryant wasn't really getting his opportunities, you know, here. It was always debate whether or not he really had the impact or whether it's impact on players. He over there, he's making tons of impact. Why would he look and go, yeah, I'll go back to New York? Like, I just don't think that we're as appealing as sometimes we think we are as a New York Knicks organization. So for me, yeah, I would love to have Johnny Bryant. I would have loved to have Johnny Bryant this year. Like I was saying that 2 seasons ago, that our players were talking about the impact that he had in their lives. Let's try that. And what happens if we try and we fail? Like, really, at the end of the day, like, what happens
We
if we
failed
try
already.
and we fail? We've lost. Now, if we lose this one, I'm not saying we're going to lose. I'm still having faith. I'm going to keep supporting my team and hoping. But let's say we lose. That'll be 2 years in a row that we lost to the same exact team. This year, we can't have the excuse of injuries. This year, we can't say we didn't have the right players around Jalen Brunson. Here's the one thing that I was thinking while I was walking my dog today. We built our team to beat the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
The other teams in the East built their teams to be the new Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't just trying to beat the Boston Celtics. They were trying to be the new Boston Celtics, the new champions, the new front runners of it.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're trying to catch last year's champion, they're focused on being this year's champion.
Yeah, I can argue that Cleveland changed their team to try to beat us.
Yeah.
You know?
And Indiana stayed put and just got better. They just got better. Like,
I mean, they kind of did the same kind of thing. If you look at it, they're similar to OKC in a lot of ways, that they stuck with a star guard, and they just built around him with players that, that fit his style. You know what I mean? And and they play all of those guys. They practice and they play all of their guys. All of their guys play. They all play. They all have an opportunity. They all feel involved in what's going on. They're not just, thrown in there because of a situation. Like, these guys are actually getting minutes over there. They expect to play. Whether it's 20 minutes, 15, these guys are expecting to play. So,
Benedict had 20 and 12 minutes, man. Sheesh.
Who?
Benedict Mathurin. He had 20 points in 12 minutes. That guy was locked in, ready to fill in the spot and just, do what they do. Always ready.
Yep. So let's talk about this real quick. All right. So I don't want people to just go, oh, fill in the guys, just crucified Tibbs, because, like, no, I said it was a both and. This was not just a Tibbs situation, especially this last game. Okay. What are we really doing here? Like, cohesion wise, like, it's very hard to continue to build a team where it seems like you have to tag in and tag out your all-stars to see their quality minutes. Like, this is a tag team match where one comes in, one goes out, and you see the best of that player while the other is out. Like, you're not seeing them both really thrive at the same time, which is frustrating because early in the season, you saw some of what it could be with some pick and pops between the two of them, with Jalen Brunson giving the ball and just catching and shooting. You're not really seeing that at all in this playoffs. You're not seeing that at all. You're not seeing these two work in tandem with each other. Like, it's even weird to me watching the post games because I'm just like, y'all are sitting next to each other, but I don't feel like either one of you guys want to say, I think the issue. Like, that's what I feel sometimes, when watching these guys. I don't feel like they're working together. And I feel like it's wasted because it's like, okay, if we're going to keep both of you on the court at the same time and be in a liability defensively for two players, at least it needs to pay off, with what we see on the chemistry offensively. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, that was kind of what we were talking about last night on my show. How, not that this is something that I'm looking for, but I am wondering if they're questioning, how can we, if teams already know what to do when it comes to these guys defensively, All you got to do is run a switch with whoever, Cat or Brunson, whoever they're guarding, and then just, attack. So obviously, having two very good defensive wings can't do anything to alleviate that happening. So what do you do? Is it a scheme thing? Do you run it back and then you see like, hey, maybe it's the coaching thing? Or do you keep the coach and you change personnel? Or do you do both? I think one of the three has to happen. At least you can't just, and I'm not saying trade Cat, but I am wondering how they can build a roster that allows Cat and Brunson to play a large amount of minutes together and not be attacked defensively as often as they are attacked. So, I don't know how much this. I don't even want to mention that. I don't know how much free agency and other players and the trading market in the offseason will affect what they think. But I do think one of the three need to happen in order for us to see a change, because I just don't see them bringing everything back the way it is and just adding a piece or two to the bench. But that's just me.
So, Iru, question for you. All right.
Mhm.
Do you think that this Cat experiment was a rush decision based off of the news of Mitchell Robinson's injury? Like, do you think this was fully thought out, or do you think that it was a force of hand based off of Mitchell Robinson's injury, and that's why there's still so many question marks?
We've talked about that, throughout the year too. After we made this trade, I mean, we signed Cat, whatever we trade, we traded for Cat and stuff. So now we got the player. So now we were all waiting for that next move. The next move to add to this. Like we were talking about adding. What's the guy this on the Lakers now? That we were talking about. Anyway, whatever
Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dorian Finney-Smith. We were talking about him. It would have been perfect at the time to try to add a player like that to the roster to help us out. But we were waiting for that move all year. But not just Tom Thibodeau, but Leon Rose and these guys, they were waiting for Shamet. They let Shamet sit with a broken shoulder, and we never fixed anything. So I think that's the root of the problem there. I just think that the Knicks just they made their move, and this was going to sit on their eggs and wait till it hatched on their own, without giving it love, giving the team what they needed to survive, to build this whole time. Even Mitchell Robinson, like we were saying, after the fact now, so okay, if this is the end game now here, where we've been talking about that all year too, like we need to start Mitch and Cat together. So now here we are doing it now in the playoffs with our backs against the wall. My thing is, like, why didn't we experiment with Cat at power forward the entire year if we know that we were waiting for Mitch Robinson to come back at some point? Because we were definitely babying Mitchell Robinson to get him healthy for the playoffs. So, like I said, we could have experimented with Mitchell Robinson at power forward and utilize a center, in the center spot and played around with that when we had a chance. Now we at this stage now where we're trying to figure out why things are not working. But I'm just frustrated with the fact that we just never did anything to help the team this whole entire time. We just been going off of like certain games where like we will have 130 something points, and it seems like the Knicks are amazing, but they're not really. It's just the talent is there, but we just don't have the proper organization. We've been talking about the minutes police and stuff like that. Is a funny argument, but we're talking about building a team, helping the team win. Not the minutes police. That argument, it's an annoying argument because it's a legit problem. Like we're talking about building a basketball club and how we can get this team to be cohesive in defense and, give these guys, not just give these guys breaks, but just build the proper team around the good players that we have. We just never addressed that at all. And I just think that's been a big major frustration for me from the beginning.
I think Fritz had one of the best things I've read in the chat all night. He said, "We are seeing early season problems of the Knicks. These are problems that should have been ironed out throughout the season. Instead, we fought nightly battles and not the big war. I think that is so important because if we look back, whether it's us or any other Knicks podcast, okay, that we're talking in the early seasons about the chemistry and about like certain, how is this going to change scenarios? And now we fast forward to the like Eastern Conference Finals. A lot of us are still having the same conversations, and winning sugarcoated that. Like winning painted over the issue that was still there. You know, like Band-Aids are great after you clean an infection. Band-Aids that are put on an infection just blind you from what's actually still happening underneath. And it's eventually going to cause a big freaking issue.
Yeah, well, my bad. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say perfume. You know, like if you got a stinking ass and you put perfume on it, yeah, the perfume smells nice, but you still got a stinking ass underneath the perfume.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I mean, and it's just like, you know, another analogy, since we bouncing analogies around, but and for work, you know, I manage a maintenance. I'm a maintenance manager at a complex, so basically, I'm the super, basically. So sometimes, you know, I have to do things ahead of time, and you know, now I really forgot my point already. Jesus Christ, what did you just say? You repeat your last. What did you just say?
If you got a stinking ass and you put perfume on it, you know.
Yes. Now I remember just that quick. We can't change the sheetrock on something until we make sure that the leak is fixed. You know what I mean? Because what's the point of changing? You're gonna keep changing the sheetrock. That, you know, at the end of the day, that's you know, but your budget. You're gonna eat up your budget just doing things, you know, without fixing the root issue. So I think there's a root issue there that we masked up because we started winning and things look good, you know. But the leak is still there.
Yeah.
Shit, we got black mold now.
Yeah. Let's talk about a few of these comments. First, I want to just address this one before I move on to Ron's bigger one. He said, Cat allowed us to fix two big issues at once. We got Cat on the cheap. The Knicks didn't make the follow-up trade they needed because only a couple assets left. Yes, and here's the problem, is even if we go into this offseason, we don't have assets still to get what we think might fix the issue. And that's where the issue comes. I personally like Josh Hart. I think Josh Hart is elite sixth man. Like, I really, really do. I think you put Josh Hart back in that sixth man role all season, he would have been in contention for sixth man of the year. Like, straight up. The most hustle that you're going to see from a sixth man. However, with the salaries that we've given to each of these players, with the picks that we've given away, and I'm okay giving picks away as long as we still have everything else covered. But with those things, with the contracts that we've given out, we can't fix that one last issue. And here's the thing. Everyone's like, what we really need to do is move Josh to the bench and get an actual straight up sharpshooter. Well, here's the thing. What sharpshooter is available that's also not a liability on defense? Because with Cat being a liability on defense and Brunson being a liability on defense, we can't focus on just getting a straight 3-point shooter. Like, we can't. That 3-point shooter also needs to be a good defender. That's the only way that would work in our starting lineup. Because if he shoots the 3, but he's not defensive, now we're leaving 5 guys to be defended by Mikal and OG, who are struggling right now to defend the Pacers. So that theory wouldn't work unless we got a sharpshooter who is also a knockdown defender, which honestly, I don't know who's available. But
you know, you mentioned a 3-point shooter. So, like, if you add it to the starting lineup, then who are you benching? You know, and then if you add it to,
I'm benching Josh.
I know, but right at the moment, Josh Hart is not starting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, Josh Hart is off the bench now. So right now, if you get a sharpshooter, where is he playing? You know,
I'm putting Mitch back to the bench if we're going that route. Like, if we're getting a sharpshooter that can also play defense, then okay. But we can't have a non-defender in our lineup plus Cat and Brunson. That's the issue.
A major problem with our team too is that we don't rebound. You know, like OG averages 4 for his career, and this guy Mikhail averages 3, and then we got Cat by himself. Oh my god, you know that type of stuff. So we don't have anybody else to rebound. So that's an issue also. You know, you have a sharpshooter, but then we don't have any inside play. Nobody's who's grabbing the rebounds. If you know,
Yeah. And that's where a lot of the questions end up coming in. You know, that's where a lot of the how do we fix things in the off season comes in, like and I don't really know. I don't really know what the answers are there. I would like to see like what actual sharpshooters are maybe small forwards that we could possibly move McHale to the 2. But I don't know what sharpshooter 3-point shooters are out there that are also, defensively inclined. But I will look into that during the episode. But let's talk here about Ron's question. My guy Ron, one of my favorite people in the world, and he said, are we in agreement that Tibbs coached the best we have ever seen from him in the playoffs or Boston? Now he looks bad versus Indiana. So which coaching moments take precedence? I will say yes. I think he coached really, really, really well in Boston. But for me personally, I think one of the best games he coached was this last one that we won in Indiana because he stepped out of the box multiple times. However, I also look at the Detroit one, and I don't think he coached that super great. I don't think he coached it bad, but I don't think he coached it great. So I'm going to go with an average median of the whole playoffs. Just like I'm not just going to judge a player based off of one game or one series. I even said when Julius Randle, before he got traded, that I wanted to give him an actual opportunity to prove himself, regardless of how much negative we all thought of him playoff-wise with what we had seen of him in some places, that I wanted to give him the opportunity to see him play with a fully healthy team and see if those no-effort moments showed up or not. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and see it. Well, now there's podcasts all over about his last performance and how he missed a few shots early in the game and he pretty much backed out on Anthony Edwards and left Anthony Edwards to play that game by himself, and how, the Minnesota fans and Minnesota podcasters are all super pissed off because they could have won that game. They lost by 2 and Julius Randle, backed out after the first quarter. So for me, I would look at the whole thing. I would look at the whole sum of it. And now I can say, okay, Julius Randle is playing with one of the best players in the league right now. He's got a defensive center in Rudy Gobert. He's got great players around him, and he's still showing that kind of effort. Okay, I'm going to say that's the kind of player that I can expect him to be in the playoffs. I look at Tibbs, and I've seen his past history. I'm looking at now, and I'm saying, okay, he won that series, but he's not winning this one. I'm going to go with the sum of all of it and say, as of right now, I still think we need to move on.
So, all right, my thing is that's a great question. Salute to you, Ron, my guy. To me, I think it boils down to looking at how we've played against Detroit and Indiana. And in my opinion, these are both series that we struggled more than we thought we should with said team.
Yep.
So I don't think it's ironic that we built our roster to beat the Celtics and we beat the Celtics. I think the guys did their job. We beat the Celtics, but we didn't build the championship team. I think we expected the Celtics to be here. You know what I mean? And like I asked my guys last night, I said, so what happens if we flip that series and we're playing Indiana in the second round. How do we look right now? Are we talking about a team being in the Eastern Conference Finals? You know what I mean? Seriously, like, there's a good chance we go back-to-back years and lose against Indiana in the second round if we play them in the second round. So, and if we manage to get past Indiana somehow, then we probably would have beaten the Celtics because, we're built to beat the Celtics. But I think there's a lot of sample size to say that how he coached during the Celtics series isn't just how Tom Thibodeau always coaches, but even then, I don't think he coached so amazing. I think we were just built to beat that team with guys who can guard their best players. And then you have mismatches and with Cat and Brunson. But, I think there was just a lot that you could do with that team more than it was just coaching, because now you're seeing how he's kind of getting out coached.
Yeah. And this is the one thing I do want to ask Ron in return is, like, in the same way people want to go, oh, it was the players that lost this last game, stop blaming it on Tibbs. Well, can we say the same then when we actually beat Boston? Can we say that Tibbs wasn't on the court when we came back from 20-point deficits? Like, was it Coach Tibbs's schemes and his plans that made us down 20 in the first place that required miracle comebacks? Like, we can't put it one way where it's all on the players when we lose, but when we do well, it's Tibbs did a great job. Like, no, if it's going to be one or the other, it needs to be one or another both ways. So for me, like Apollo said, if we were built to beat the Celtics, then wouldn't that be more of a victory for Leon Rose? Wouldn't that be more of a victory for the front office that constructed this team to do that? And wouldn't it be on the players that actually executed the things that we signed them for? Or should Tibbs get that credit? Not saying Tibbs didn't do a good job. I'm saying it's got to be both and. Tibbs is crapping the bed in this series just as much as anything good he would have done in that series. The only difference is that we signed these players to try to compete with Boston. We needed to be looking at big picture. And that's where Tibbs, who's the guy who apparently spends all day every day because he has no family, no nothing, that he just goes home and he watches tape all day every day, is what we're told. You couldn't see this. You couldn't see this kind of play from Indiana because, to me, their play looks very similar to their play last year, just more polished. Like, style-wise, it's still very similar to what we played against last year. So, for me, I would say it's going to be a sum of it. And for a sum of it, I would say I was not super impressed with the wins that we got against Detroit. The wins that we got against Boston, we were like, whoo, so glad we got back from that one. Can't believe we came back from a 20-point win. That's not great coaching, shouldn't have been that big of a deficit that many times. And then in this series, I'm like, what is going on? How are we losing our leads? How are we doing all this stuff? So I would say take that whole sum and go, C plus B, but it's definitely not A plus material. That's it.
Well, I'm just not impressed with Tibbs at all. Just to paraphrase what you guys are saying, that I mean, in Detroit, we were down a lot in those games. It's not like we were dominating them and beating them. We didn't win at home. We was losing on the road too. So I mean, we've consistently been doing the same thing, having to fight back out of these holes. So I mean, just right off the bat, if that consistently keeps happening, that means there's something going on with the coaching. We're not prepared for the games. We don't have a proper scheme to play against the team that we're facing, and it's just not right. And I like the point that Apollo said about that we were built to beat the Celtics, but it's annoying because last year we were bully ball. and other teams were trying to add players to their rosters to fight to be more physical against us. And then we went and dumbed down our team a little bit. Got rid of the rebounding because we were dominant a rebounding team and we were a tough team. We got rid of all of that and just for the wing stop, so we can be able to stop Boston. So I think we played ourselves from the get-go. Like I said, we never addressed any issues. So it's a double-edged sword. The front office laid an egg. The Tom Thibodeau's the coaching ability laid an egg. That drop coverage is it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable how we can how guys can come down and consistently make 3-point shots wide open, and we never make an adjustment to how we play them. All these questions is right at Tom Thibodeau's feet, and like you can't get all hype after a win and say Tom did this, but and then negate the fact that even though we won, all the same issues that we've been having is still right there at his feet. So he needs to go regardless, bro. We need to. The front office needs to, like we've been. That's the key. We've been saying that about everything. Everybody gotta face the music. The front office, the players on the court, and Tom Thibodeau. They all gotta face the music this offseason. We have to make changes.
Yeah. And this, let's go through a few of these questions before we talk about the next whiskey. Wes V. Nick said, would you guys rather break up the experiment of the Nova Knicks or get a coach that has a different style of coaching? I'll just bounce this around real quick. I'll say it first. I'd rather break up I'd rather switch out the coaching. Like I've said this from the start of the season. No offense to Tibbs. What he's done, is greater than I've seen since the 90s Knicks. Hat off to him. However, I think we've come to the part where he's hit his lid. And no matter how much you pour into it, it can't go anymore. It's tapped, I think. I think we are done with what Tibbs can do. So for me, I'm going on from Tibbs regardless of whether we stick with the Nova Knicks or not. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I feel like these guys love Tibbs, and I've said this before. I feel like these guys love Tibbs, but I'm not sure if they believe in Tibbs anymore as a team. They're not playing like they believe in what the coach is drilling. A lot of times is like we talked about the other, after the first game, we saw these guys collapse, and then the video comes out with OG and Cat getting into it, and and somebody in the chat mentioned it, like, yo, Tibbs is nowhere to be found. And that's true. You would like the guys to kind of figure it out on their own. He's that kind of coach. He's probably one of those kind of dads. Like, the kids are fighting out, they'll figure it out. Like let them fight it out. As whoever the man is, he'll figure it out. I can hear Tibbs kind of saying that. But I just don't. I don't know how much this team can really be. I don't want to say he's losing the locker room. I don't want to say that. I just feel like he could be making them not believe in him as a coach. That's all I can say.
Yeah. All right, Apollo. Eru, which of those two would you rather?
Well, I just think Tom is out of here. That was the question, right? Whether Tom, either Tom or the players. You have to get rid of Tom. Tom's got to go. But like you can still like Tom, and it is like it doesn't have to be a negative thing. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be like, oh, bang bang bang, let's fight about this, debate about it. No, it's just that Tom Thibodeau, he did whatever. So so that it's just obviously time to move on, just based on basketball stuff, not based on any other preconceived things you have about Tom Thibodeau. Because you can like family members and stuff like that. I love my aunt. But I don't want her over here because she'd be stealing shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I can love her from a distance. She was good growing up. She taught me things, might have taught me how to tie my shoes or something like that. So those are really great things that she taught me throughout the years and stuff. But I know she'd be stealing shit, so I don't want her over here. You know what I'm saying? So, you just lean on other family members and you gather around those people. You know what I'm saying? This doesn't mean I don't love my aunt any less. It's just she ain't coming over here no more. That's just the way it is. It's just time to move on.
Yeah. So let's talk about this one, and then we'll go into, the next pour of whiskey and then continue to talk Knicks for a few more minutes. Great question by Ron. I guess part of me wonders, I don't know if you guys are thinking about this, but is Indiana a better team than the Knicks? Their offense is better than ours, and in game 4, their defense looked tougher. So I'll answer my thoughts, and then I'll bounce it to Eru and then Apollo. I hate to say this, but I'd say yes. Because for me, the question isn't, do they have better players? The question was, are they a better team? And that's where I have to say yes, because a lot of times we do not see our guys look like a team. Like, the definition of team is a group of players forming one side in a competitive game or sport. They come together to achieve one common goal. And a lot of times it doesn't look like all of our guys are on the same page. Like, it just does not look like it. It does not look like they're all on the same page, or it does not look like they are all on the same boat, the same ship, or whatever that would be steered by the coach. Like, it doesn't. Indiana, regardless of their better players, I think we have better players. They play as one unit. From their starting lineup to their bench, they play one style of basketball together. They play kind of effortlessly with one another. Like, they know how to play together. Like, when you look at Halliburton and Siakam minutes, they look as seamless as Halliburton and Obi Toppin minutes. Why? Because they're all playing the same style of basketball. They're all playing for one another, and they're making each other better. And I think that makes them a better team. Do I think they have better players? Not at all. But as a team, yeah, like, we've seen it. We've seen it in the playoffs. Like, they came together and whooped on Cleveland, who had the best record in the league. Like, these guys have gotten better from last season, and they continue to build and believe in each other. And you look at it on the bench, like, they celebrate each other like crazy when they do something good, as annoying as they are. So I think as a team, they are a better team. Eru,
Well, what was the initial question again?
do you think that the Pacers are a better team than the Knicks?
Yeah, absolutely. Even down to the little things. They say, like, on Naismith, the way he plays defense, but then Ben Mathurin will come in and he's doing the same thing. Like, Aaron Naismith, every time down, he was clobbering Brunson, just like, off the ball. Like, as soon as he comes across court, he was bang, hit him in his chest. And then when he comes out, Mathurin will come in. And as soon as Mathurin comes across the court, he's bang hitting on Brunson again. So Brunson's like looking like, yo, y'all don't looking at the refs, y'all don't see it. My thing is there's no fight back for it. But anyway, that's a systematic thing. This is not just a player decided to hit Brunson. They're systematically doing that. So even on that level, they're having discussions on what they need to do to try to fluster certain players, man. So X's and O's aside, just philosophy and what we need to do out there, little things. They're all competing. They're all as one. And the Knicks are not like that. We just don't. Like, if you look at on paper, we have the assets to do everything that we need to do to take care of this team, but we're just not utilizing anything that we have to the full capabilities, and it's not, X and O's aside, just the simple fact that like we need somebody to really chop Siakam in his throat one time. You know what I'm saying? If you can get PJ Tucker in there one time to get under his arm and start grabbing his ribs and stuff like that, on the opposite end. How many times has Miles Turner caught Cat underneath his arms to get him caught in some kind of foul or something like that? Yeah. It systematically keeps happening. It's not just an isolated thing. Every time down, he's up in his armpit. Yeah. So like systematic. Like, the Knicks just don't have anything like that going for us right now, and that all is a part of the whole team thing. Outside of X's and O's and all that. Even those little things, we don't even have that going for us.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, Apollo, I'll let you go. Then we'll go into this next whiskey. And then I see a great question by my guy, No Context Knicks, that we'll go into next.
I saw what he said earlier. I responded. I said, I think the difference in team styles plus the player production is making Indiana the better team right now. So I think, I think they have a style that they play, and they're playing their style at maybe a an 8 or 9 right now, and we're playing our style at maybe a 6 or 7. So, I mean, I think that's just what it boils down to. That's what each team especially at this point, they have a certain style of basketball that they play. They have a system that they run, whether it's offensive or defensive. But if you're putting the right system out there for the guys that you have, and the guys are out there being productive in those roles, that's what gives you that higher grade, and at this point, like I said, we're hovering around like a 6. Sometimes I don't even like saying 7. You know what I mean? It's certain nights we play like we're an 8. Certain nights we play like we're a 9 for a quarter, but it's never a 48-minute effort. And I think that makes them the better team right now.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say on that question before we move on to the whiskey is I feel like they were constructed a little bit differently. I feel like they were constructed fully to match their skill sets. Like, that's why Carlisle was so geeked to get an Obi Toppin, because he knew that he was going to run a fast-paced offense, and bringing Obi off of the bench was going to be instant fast-paced buckets. Like, he knew, like, he saw the big picture of what he was going to do. I feel like the way ours was constructed was more so based on what each individual has, like, as like, oh, this guy's good, this guy's good, this guy's good, but not this guy's good for this guy's style of play. Like, it doesn't really make sense sometimes, the styles of play, because if you have catch and shoot players like Mikhail and OG, you need more of an actual movement offense, not a stagnant offense. You would need more so a fast-paced Halliburton style, assist forward guard, for that, as opposed to a power forward who plays most of his time, like doing something other than catch and shoot, like, because Brunson is more so focused on head down kind of style of basketball. And so I don't think that we were constructed in the same way that the Pacers were. I feel like all of their pieces were kind of like, not how great is this player individually, but how great is this player to fit what we are deciding we want to do as an organization. Does their skill sets fit this style of play? If so, let's bring them in. And you've seen those players blossom. Like Nesmith, way better this year than he was last year, but he's still doing the same kind of things, but developing more and more things to his game. What did we see when Obi Toppin started developing more and more things to his game? He got less minutes and then got traded. Nesmith got brought to the forefront of what they're doing and killed us in the early games. So that's my thoughts. We're going to talk about this whiskey and then answer 2 more questions. Apollo, grab this one because this one is a delight. This one's crazy, bro. All right, right here. This right here is Bardstown. All right. It's from their collaborative series. So their origin series is what we did before, which is the stuff that's common all the time on the shelves. Their collaborative series is things that they collab with others to create something that will be around for a certain period of time and then gone. So this one is their Goose Island Beer Company collaboration. So it's finished in barrels that were previously housed Goose Island Bourbon County brand stout beer. So you get a blend of the 6, 7, and 9-year-old bourbons. And then after those are aged and blended, they're put into these stout barrels to age even more. And it's crazy. Like me, I'm not a beer guy at all. I don't drink carbonation at all. Like when I had cancer as a kid, I really couldn't have any carbonation. So by the time I could, I didn't have a affinity for it. I just couldn't get down with it. So I've always wanted to like certain things about beer because I hear about the different kind of flavors in a beer, but all that sticks out is the carbonation. So I couldn't. So this right here is from Craft Stout Beer stout barrels. So go on the nose real quick. Bro, that's crazy.
What's the name of this one again?
This is the Bardstown Bourbon Company collaborative series with Goose Island Beer Company.
Okay.
This is crazy. Prezi, you would love this, bro. Oh, that smells so good, bro. Like sometimes you get like the acetone, that the ethanol, I mean, that's in bourbon, you know, and sometimes you have to kind of like fight for the smells and stuff like that. You don't get any of that on this. Like
Yeah,
this is
it's
just straight delicious.
I'm
Yeah,
trying
this
to.
is good.
I feel like it's some kind of plant that I can smell,
All
but
right.
like a sweet kind of plant.
Okay. All right. So with me, instantly, I get chocolate. Like I get chocolate bombs. I get chocolate. I get honey, and then some of that typical like oak from the barrel. But if you take a deep inhale, you'll be able to get that chocolate. That chocolate is there.
I smell the chocolate. I smell the chocolate. You get on my
Yep.
nerves with this, man. Why do you do this? Man?
And this is a cast strength, so it's 100 proof here on this one. So let's go in. Let's go in for a taste because this is unique, bro. Super unique. Oh my gosh.
It does have a carbonation kind of taste to it.
So not so much carbonation, but
Not carbonation, but the beer. The beer.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Yep.
You get an instant stout flavor to it.
Mhm.
Like you can taste from the wood that had the beer, you can taste what was left in that wood in that on the first sip immediately. So you get that stout flavor for sure. And then for me, one candy that my wife loves, and I never reach for it, but when she has it and I don't have my own candy and I grab one, I end up winding up like continuing to like dip into her box. And she's like looking at me like, yo, this is my movie candy. But I get Whoppers, like straight up Whoppers.
I love
like,
Whoppers.
Chocolate malt, like is straight up on that. Like chocolate malt, leather, and stout. Like it's just
that's good. That's good.
See if you can drink it again and like get any of that like chocolate malt on there.
Listen, I know the Knicks lost last night, but I don't need to get drunk tonight, you know.
That's why I only sent you like an ounce of each, bro.
Listen, I'm a lightweight, man. Hold on. Let me see.
Well, if I could add, I love Goose Island. You know, Goose Island, they make really good stouts that, you know, very creamy, you know, different. I've tried a bunch of them. You know, they're kind of expensive, but I've tried a bunch of them, and I love their brand as far as the beers are concerned. You know, so for them to have a collaborative, if you're familiar with the beer, you know, it's like a Guinness stout, but on steroids, you know. So if you can get that imagination, I can, you know, and you're talking about the barrels, you know, they put the whiskey in those barrels, you can get what's happening here.
Yeah. And so I'm going to actually send you a sample
like
of this since you like stouts. Well,
I love stouts.
Because I think you would really, really like this one. It says sold out on their website, but it's not sold out everywhere. You can find it in stores. This is a very, very, very unique, you know, you even get like flavors of like hints of vanilla at the end. So it's a really good one. So I suggest you all check it out. Once again, this is the Goose Island Bourbon County collaboration series of Bardstown Bourbon. So shout out to Bardstown Bourbon once again for sending these 2 bottles to the Knicks Nightcap, believing in what we're doing. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you guys. And we hope that all of our viewers and all those watching on the replay gang pick up one of these bottles. They will not regret it. So thank you guys so much. But let's go back into some of this Knicks talk before we head off and go spend some time with our families and call it a night. One thing that showed for tomorrow's game is Cat is questionable for tomorrow's game, as well as Neesmith is questionable for tomorrow's game. So that's something for us to look out for. Also, you know, another thing I want us to look at is the assists. I haven't even looked at the assists from yesterday's game, but you guys know my take.
Yep, 30
less. Like you get more than 30, we have a good opportunity. What did we have?
17.
You for real?
You know what? No, seriously, did we have 17?
I'm looking at it.
17.
Yeah, 17.
You know what we also had? That was
17 assists, bro.
we had 17 assists and 17 turnovers.
That's disgusting. That's like little kids
That's
basketball.
nasty. That's nasty. Nasty work. This is a team that thrives on transition points, and we're gifting them transition points. It's
They got
insane.
20 points. They got 20 points off of those 17 turnovers.
That's insane. That's insane. That's ridiculous. And Fritz is here with the update. Thunder up 30 in the third. Yo, I hope we do not go out like that. Like, seriously, I will freak out.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes you gotta rip the band-aid off. Sometimes you gotta you sometimes it has to hurt, man. Sometimes it gotta hurt, because if I'm telling you right now, if we find a way to make this 7 games, right? Which I'm not against, by the way. If we find a way to make this 7 games, Tibbs is still here next year.
Here's the thing. I feel like Tibbs is going to still be here next year, no matter what we say.
Yeah.
My thing is, it would
No
be
matter
an
how bad
easier pill to swallow if we go 7 games than if we get spanked at MSG tomorrow and Tibbs is still here next year.
Mhm.
If Tibbs is still here next year and we lose like the Wolves are losing right now in this next game, like I'll lose hope in the front office. Like,
I mean,
if we get spanked like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him another shot at it, because, you know, let's be honest, they didn't have Mitchell Robinson until March, you know, and, you know, but still, that doesn't, you didn't figure out the Cat and Brunson thing during the season. Even with having Mitch back, you can have Mitch the entire season. What did we figure out about how we're going to play Cat and Brunson?
That's the thing, is we're not playing any different, unfortunately, in the Eastern Conference Finals than we were in the first few episodes that we were talking about this team. Like, we're winning on the strength of the players' offensive abilities. We're looking at games where Jalen Brunson is putting up 40-plus point games, where he is considered the clutch player of the year. We're banking on moments like that. We're banking on moments of Karl Anthony Towns putting up 40. We're banking on that stretch of OG Anunoby for like 3 weeks, putting up 25 plus in games for that time that Brunson was gone. Like, we're banking on those moments. We're not banking on a chemistry. The thing about the Pacers that I've learned in this series, which is a freaking annoying pill to swallow, is that Halliburton can have an incredible game where he's like at 16, 18 assists and contributing to everything, or he can have a piss poor game and they still have a chance to win. Why? Because they've learned how to play as a team. They've worked their ins and outs on a solid unit. It's not based on solely the skill sets of one player rising to the occasion in that game. Like, you look at the comebacks that we've had, even the win on this game. What did everyone say? It was Cat that saved us. That shouldn't be the constant narrative of the New York Knicks, that we had to say Cat saved us. Or in those last 2 games, or in those games that we beat the Celtics, that McHale came alive and saved us in the 4th. Or Jalen Brunson saved us in the Pistons. Like, why is it always a player that has to save us instead of our Knicks played a great game and we won as the Knicks? That's
we haven't had that in months, truthfully. And then also too, we're going into MSGs. You know, if I hear fans say, "Yeah, we're gonna go back to MSG and do this." Yo, man, we already lost 2 games to MSG in this series already. So the writing is on the wall for certain things to happen, man. So you can't really be surprised if it does happen. In the back of your mind, you're gonna you gotta expect it. Are we gonna stop cheering for our team? Are we gonna stop, hoping? And that's all we got is really hope. But realistically, man, all these problems that we have is, we just have to believe what we see, and not just think that, oh, this game they did this game they did that. Nah, man, collectively, like we've been saying this throughout the entire season, the entire playoffs, as a whole, collectively, we still have the same problems. You know.
Yeah. I said this on this the series before Boston with the rest of the KOT family. I said, you know what the difference is, unfortunately, with us and some of the teams that were playing in the playoffs is they play as a team where it's not necessarily about one guy and needing to remember that guy's name. They play more so like Jagged Edge. Who the heck knows anybody's name in Jagged Edge? Any of you? Any of you?
Nope.
Nope. But you know the songs? You knew the hits? Might as well get married. Meet me at the
First of
altar
all,
in your white dress. All of us know it, but not a single one of us. Exactly. Not a single one of us know a single person in Jagged Edge's group's name.
Yeah.
We play more like Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's Jalen Brunson being Michael that game or Karl Anthony Towns being Michael that game, we play more so like that. And they play more so like Jagged Edge, where they just want to win as a team.
Or Sade, because nobody even knows. People don't even realize that Sade is the name of the group.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not her name.
Like everyone's like, I had such a crush on Sade. Which one? The bass player?
Like which one? The guy.
Yeah, you grew up loving the guy bass player? Like
right.
What? You know, like,
what makes that you know Sade's act so great? It's not just her. It's like the you know, everybody just collectively kicking ass.
Most soulful voice.
Yeah.
But you put that on a 90s pop track and it sounds like trash.
Yeah.
But you put it on that unique, soulful, one of a kind, like bass riff and guitar play, and you know, and all of a sudden you have a classic.
Yeah. Did you see that Will Smith freestyle?
Mm-hmm.
I saw that Will Smith freestyle where he had that beat, whatever, and then somebody remixed it and put a Griselda beat on it, and the whole rhyme just changed altogether.
That's crazy.
You know?
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's basically what it is. You know,
the guys in the chat didn't know that. That's crazy. Hold on, Ron. You didn't know that? You're older than me, Ron. What's going on?
For real, Ron, I can't call you the king of soul anymore if you didn't know that fun fact. But anyway, all right, guys, let's end with our takes and call it a night. And we will talk about what we think is going to happen in this next game. I'll just go real quick. I believe we're going to win this game. I really do. I don't think we're going to completely fold. My wife said, she walked in, she said, preach it, babe. I'm going to have faith. But here's the thing. I'm not having faith in the game plan. I'm not having faith in us coming through as a team. I believe one or two players are going to rise to the occasion in different moments of the game. And I think that the bright lights of MSG will be hard for them to clinch this one, because the team knows that the Ben Stillers of the world and the Spike Lees and all those guys are looking at the team to be like, yo, please don't let us down. Like, we're all talking about how you're going to come back. So I don't think we'll lose the series in MSG. So maybe I'm blind. Maybe I'm having too much faith, but I believe personally that we will win this next game. I don't know what the series will turn out to, but I do think we'll win this next game. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I think we win this next game. I hope we win this next game. I do think that there's some aspect of these guys not wanting to go home, in a way that Boston didn't want to lose at home when we played them. I think it's that kind of energy. But yeah, I think it's a long road, but I think we should win this one at home. With the fans, I know the fans are gonna go crazy, but you know, I just think that these guys, for once, will play like a unit that doesn't want to go home. Because now there's no second chances. It's literally win or go home. And now I'm more curious to see how they respond to this situation. And you know, not to say respond and win the series, but to just not go home in 5 games. You know what I mean? To a team that you believe you're better than. That you truly believe that you're better than. But yeah, I mean, and before I go, quick question: does anybody know the Thunder's head coach name? Without looking.
No.
Thank you.
That is a no.
Nobody knows. This is and this guy, he's been there since like 2016.
Eru, I'm gonna let you give your take, and then I'm gonna close with one thing that just kind of stood out to me, and then we'll go. But I do want to thank No Context Knicks. He said we're friends on Twitter. He said, first time listener here. Great show, guys. Thank you, bro. It means a lot that you would come out and give us a shot. So we appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts on this next game, Eru?
All right, my next thoughts is I'm looking at flights to OKC, you know what I'm saying? Trying to see the prices and stuff here, but that's my thought process, man. Either win or go home, man. So I'm hoping that the Knicks could just pull it out and we could just win. Just win, baby. That's it. Win.
That's great, man. I too am believing and hoping for this victory. I want to share this real quick, and then we're gonna call it a night. But I thought this was very interesting and very telling for, people who don't believe, that Tibbs was an issue on this, because I'm a flex and say you're wrong. All right. Y'all see that right there?
Yeah.
Can you guys see? All right. So in the game that we won, when talking about why we won, TJ McConnell said we slowed down. We played into their hands. Our superpower is speed and depth. Matchup hunting can make us a little bit stagnant. Turner, we didn't play fast enough in the second half. All of their guys talked about how the reason they lost was because our defense completely slowed them down. Carlisle talked about how our defensive unit locked us down. Halliburton said that defensive unit that came off the bench made us have to question everything and locked us down. Then this is what Mikal Bridges had to say after the last game that we lost. When asked, is there something specific about them that's creating problems in terms of communicating on defense? Playing fast and getting out draws a lot of confusion. Got to be able to communicate in those situations. So what you're telling me is that Coach Tibbs in that third game slowed them down, put in our defensive unit that did not allow them to run that fast-paced offense that they thrive in, the offense that killed us earlier, the offense that killed Cleveland, and they talked about how it killed them. And then Mikal is talking about the reason we lost that game is because we let them play their style of basketball. Who's to blame there? Who's to blame there? We don't play a slow them down, defensive minded, have our defenders out on the court, have the guys who slowed them down and crippled them in the only victory we freaking have in the series. And that's the reason our guys say that we lost. They are saying the same exact thing that we are saying without mentioning Tibbs's name, whether you like it or not. Yep. They're saying the same exact thing I am. And with that, I say cheers. Thank you to everyone who watched tonight. We appreciate you. Once again, shout out to the amazing team at Bardstown Bourbon for sending these amazing, delicious bottles. We appreciate you guys so much for believing in the Knicks Nightcap. We hope that this thing continues to grow and that we continue to work with you and other amazing brands next season. And we hope that the season continues over these next few days. Thank you to Liquid Ministry for sending these little sample bottles right here that I can send to the rest of the guys. Hopefully we have a series going on after this where I can send them to Eru and he can enjoy as well. So thank
end up drinking the whole box in one shot if you lose.
Love. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support. If you guys can, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, retweet this episode so that others can watch this. any support means the world to us. So please show love, show support. Thank you to our guy Julian Bloom for the super chat tonight. And y'all don't have to feel scared. Y'all are allowed to, send super chats as well. I'll never deny them if you want to send them on over. So we thank you guys. We appreciate you. If this continues to blossom, Prezzi's been asking for it. We will have Knicks Nightcap Glencairn glasses next year. We will have those sample bottles for sale. We will have a few other things as well for those that like whiskey and those that don't. People are asking for logos on the hat and logos on the shirt. We will make those happen. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you, Apollo, Eru. Thank you guys for rocking with me, believing in this, and always being some of the most amazing dudes that I know, and loving your guys' takes. So thank you guys. Shout out to the KOT family, my guy Fritz, my guy Lee Escobedo, my homegirl, the Queen, Ebony. We got Jay Ellis up in here. We got Mr. Ryan and my guy Fritz. Thank you guys so much for all the love. Thank you for all the support. Keep rocking with us. Keep growing this channel. This is a channel where you're going to get unsolicited, non-New York Knicks talking in our ears, and we have to say things a certain way. We're just going to speak truth like we want it as fans who love the game, who love those that watch. Shout out to my guy, Ron. If you guys are not following Still Knicks fans, you need to. Like, seriously, Ron is one of my favorite people in the whole world, has one of the most, solid channels that are out there, should be at, 50K at least subscribers. So if you can, hit that like button and subscribe button and make sure that you're rocking with him. And on Saturday, every week, he's there trying to talk us off the ledge. So hopefully there's still something to talk us off the ledge this Saturday. So we appreciate you guys. God bless. Drink responsibly, and until next time, hopefully next week we're still in this and we can talk again and we're not having a season recap, but we'll see what happens. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range.